Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take a whole stack of information and really pull out the key insights for you.
That's the goal.
And today, we're doing a really important deep dive. We're looking into the perspectives presented by the Kenya Wantamnotam movement, or KWM as they're often called.
Yeah, and the sources we have provide a really intense look, I'd say, at their view of leadership and what citizens are doing in Kenya right now.
It's quite vivid.
What I find fascinating is how this movement seems to pull together all these different threads, political inaction on one side, actual fear on the streets on the other.
Right.
And they weave it into this coherent narrative that's basically arguing for, well, significant change. These sources really bring their perspective to life.
Exactly. So our mission today is pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
We need to unpack KWM's core arguments. What are their specific observations about the leadership? What impact are they saying this has on ordinary people?
And this rising youth activism they talk about.
Yes, that too. We'll look at who KWM are, what they claim is actually happening on the ground, and crucially, what they're calling for.
Which, it really raises a fundamental question, doesn't it? What happens when the institutions that are supposed to protect and represent citizens are seen by a movement like this as being silent, or, even worse, complicit? The KWM sources offer a pretty stark answer, at least from their viewpoint.
Okay, let's start there then. Let's unpack this central idea from the KWM, their core message. They kick things off with a really bold statement, quite demanding.
Yeah, it's striking.
Skis awaken ya, skis aground, or be impeached, be kicked out by our votes, even before Hung Tam ends.
Which, just for clarity, skis awaken ya, skis aground essentially means listen, Kenyans, listen to the ground, listen to the grassroots reality.
And one Tam?
That refers to a leader's first term in office. So the message is immediate accountability. Listen now or you're out, even before your first term is up, sets a really demanding tone.
Absolutely. It's a clear call for accountability right from the start.
Indeed. And then there's their article title, which is pretty provocative in itself. They dress the part, but let the dogs watch. Kenya's leaders are sleeping while the country bleeds.
Oh.
It really zeroes in on this concept they call a suit with no spine. And they don't just mean it poetically. They describe lawmakers, in the National Assembly and Senate as mannequins.
Mannequins.
Yeah, polished and pristine, but their silence speaks louder than their tailored suits. It's like they're saying the appearance of power is there, but the substance, the action, is missing. Hollow symbols, basically.
Standing there, effectively.
That's the image they paint. Frozen, watching while, as they put it, unarmed protesters face bullets.
And they use some really stark examples to back this up, don't they? Like the death of MP Charles Ong'ondo Were.
Exactly. Caught on CCTV, motorcyclist firing at close range. It's chilling.
And the KWM claim is that this event, this violent death of one of their own colleagues, barely makes a ripple in their deliberations.
Which, if true from their perspective, suggests a profound disconnect or lack of concern within the legislative body. It's a powerful indictment.
Yeah.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture they're painting, the KWM argues these suits, these appearances, they look like armor, but really they disguise an absence of conviction.
Making them defenseless.
Defenseless against the real problems, yeah. And this perceived paralysis, according to KWM, just leaves society vulnerable. It lets it crumble under fear and violence because the leaders are just watching, not stepping in.
So moving from those halls of power, as they see them, down to the streets, KWM paints a pretty grim picture of everyday life, too.
Very grim. They describe Nairobi, usually such a buzzing, energetic city, as having fallen silent, gripped by fear.
You can almost feel it in their description. Shops closing early, people gathering in hushed groups.
Eyes darting everywhere, yeah. Like this constant sense of being watched. They argue this shadow of fear stretches right across neighborhoods, changing how people live daily.
And the specific examples of abduction they mention are particularly striking.
They really are. Harrowing. The source mentions two brothers, Jamil and Aslam Longton, vanished in June 2024.
And reappeared when?
32 days later. Bruised and broken, is how the source puts it.
This was awful.
And more broadly, the KWM claims that between June 24 and early 2025, over 80 people were abducted, many still missing. They talk about mothers waking up, hoping, waiting for a knock that doesn't come. It emphasizes the real human cost.
And the official response, according to KWM?
Well, they characterize it as nothing but hollow words denials, distractions, and empty promises.
So no real answers.
They claim police reports often just chalk these disappearances up to things like road accidents or mob justice. Basically, refusing to acknowledge what KWM believes is the actual truth behind it.
And amidst all that, the silence from the lawmakers
Remains deafening, as KWM repeatedly puts it, a core part of their critique of leadership failure.
But it's not all bleak in their narrative, is it? There's a counter-narrative.
Absolutely, and it's a powerful one. They call it youth rising, the voice of a generation. They highlight that Kenya's youth, they're just not willing to be silent anymore. They're turning to social media, TikTok, X, Instagram.
Armed with smartphones, as they say.
Exactly. Channeling their frustration, maybe over things like taxes, into these really powerful, innovative, sometimes even humorous protests.
Yeah.
It shows incredible resilience.
And they frame it not just as frustration, but as something more profound.
Yeah, a clever, defiant claim to dignity. That's the phrase they use. Even when facing tear gas, the youth respond with memes, videos, witty commentary.
I remember the source quoting that senator asking, "How do you tear gas a baddie?"
Precisely. It captures this, new form of digital defiance that old methods of control just struggle to handle. It really showcases their innovative spirit.
And this youth energy led to something significant, didn't it?
It did. According to the KWM account, it culminated on June 25th, 2024. These young voices, they say, stormed Parliament.
A major event.
Huge.
Okay.
Chaotic. Reports mention them even taking the parliamentary mace. But tragically, 19 people were killed in the chaos.
Many by police gunfire, the source says.
That's what the KWM asserts, and they draw a very stark conclusion from it. History will remember those still dressed in suits, their speeches hollow, their minds empty, their silence will echo in infamy. It's a heavy judgment on that perceived inaction.
So with all this happening, where does accountability fit in? The KWM sources talk about broken promises and hollow reassurances.
Yeah, after that finance bill passed, they say Kenyans were waiting for fury from leaders, some strong pushback,
But instead,
bland reassurances, that's the term used. President Ruto did eventually veto the bill the next morning.
okay.
But KWM's take is the damage had already been done. The implication is the action wasn't timely or decisive enough, showing a disconnect.
And Parliament itself, what was happening there, according to KWM?
Well, they claim Parliament just carried on debating inconsequential issues while citizens were allegedly suffering.
They cite that case of MP George Quimbury, too.
Yes, allegedly dragged from a church and left beaten in a coffee field. It serves as this stark example, in their sources, of the vulnerability even officials might face. It underlines the breakdown of order they're claiming.
Which leads directly to this question of impunity, right? The sense that actions have no consequences.
Exactly. KWM suggests it's rampant. They mention Senator Joe Newtu actually calling publicly for the International Criminal Court, the ICC, to investigate.
That's a big step.
It is, and it points to this deeper concern about unchecked power, which KWM explores further under the heading, tyranny in plain clothes.
What does that mean exactly?
It implies that those in authority are operating outside the law, perhaps without uniforms, but with impunity. KWM asserts bodies are found in rivers, in morgues.
But the official reports.
Consistently label them accidents or victims of mob justice, according to KWM. They even allege the existence of government action teams roaming the streets, abducting anyone seen as a threat.
That's a very serious allegation.
Extremely. And they add another chilling detail. Police compiling spreadsheets of protesters' names, suggesting systematic targeting.
Wow.
As an example, they point to June 9th, 2024. Police reportedly tear-gassed activists who were demanding answers about a blogger, Albert Ojwang.
What happened to him?
He died in custody, officially ruled a head injury, but KWM and others suspect foul play. The tear gas incident was seen as suppressing calls for truth.
As we dig deeper into the KWM narrative, another theme emerges. A stark contrast.
Yes, what they call the elite's escape.
Meaning?
They suggest that the wealthy, the elite, they have their passports ready, their bank accounts secure. They can just leave if things get too tough.
But ordinary citizens don't have that option.
Precisely. No such luxury. It paints this picture of a deeply divided society where safety, escape, it's all a privilege of the few.
And this point seems crucial for KWM.
It's central to their call for broad action. They specifically name hawkers, boda drivers, everyday citizens. These are the people left to face the brutality of the regime with nowhere to run, as they put it.
While senators and MPs,
shielded by wealth and status, KWM argues, continue to legislate for their own gain while the country falls apart. It fuels that sense of disillusionment, widens the gap.
So while some families are mourning, searching morgues,
the elite, in KWM's view, just sweep the mess under the rug, detached, immune to the suffering.
It's a powerful image of division.
And their critique doesn't stop at Kenya's borders. They extend it to international observers, too.
How so?
They suggest a broader pattern of, well, indifference, maybe even perceived complicity. They detail an event, a silent visit from royalty.
Royalty?
Yes, in late April and May 2024. The Dutch royals, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima, visited Kenya. Lots of ceremony, fanfare.
Okay, but KWM's point is?
Despite the fanfare, they claim abductions, police crackdowns, all that continued happening in the background, unabated.
Did anyone try to raise these issues with the royals?
KWM says activists begged the royals to address the human rights violations, but the visit was ultimately marked by silence on those issues. No public acknowledgement.
Leaving the activists feeling unheard, I imagine.
Frustrated, yes, and unheard on an international stage. KWM has a very specific interpretation of that silence.
Which is?
The message was clear. Silence is complicity. That's how they see it. It feeds into their larger argument that indifference, whether internal or external, just allows the problems they describe to continue. Turning a blind eye, in their view, is effectively condoning it.
We have definitely covered a lot of ground here, really looking at the situation in Kenya through the specific, compelling lens of the Kenya Wantam Notam movement.
It's a very vivid picture they paint.
It is a country facing huge challenges as they see it, and their movement proposing change right from the grassroots level.
And it's important to stress this movement isn't just about pointing out problems. It's very much about mobilizing action, empowering people.
Yes, empowering Kenyans to make their voices heard, to break that silence that concerns them so much, hopefully with a collective roar, as they might put it.
A powerful idea.
And as part of actually doing that, fostering that grassroots change, they have an invitation for you, the listener. They invite you to visit www.wantamnotam.com.
Right, that's their platform.
Exactly. You can go there, create an account, and start sharing your own ideas that you think can help change your village, your city, your whole nation. It's their way of building that community, that bottom-up approach to finding solutions.
So wrapping things up, KWM brings it right back to that core metaphor they started with.
The dog in the suit.
That's the one. A dog that doesn't bark sees danger. A suit that never speaks during the darkest times is a lie. They assert that Kenya, from their perspective, drifts towards decay, and that the very people who could protest are often too busy just trying to survive day to day.
Counting the cost of survival.
Yeah.
Making collective action harder.
Exactly. It speaks to the urgency they feel.
And their conclusion, it issues this really powerful, almost chilling challenge directly to the leaders they've been criticizing.
It does. They warn that when the nation's shield falters, it is not just the poor and the brave protesters who bleed. Even the suits will be stained.
Though theirs may be washed clean of blood.
Wow, that's a stark warning.
It suggests the consequences of inaction, of this perceived detachment, will eventually reach everyone, regardless of status or perceived security.
It really makes you think, what is the true, maybe long-term cost when public trust disappears like that?
Well, as that one senator warned in the KWM source, no one is truly safe when the system itself is seen as failing, when accountability seems absent.
A sobering thought.
But the movement ends on a note of empowerment, really, emphasizing that while leaders might choose silence,
The people can choose to roar.
Precisely. It underscores their unwavering belief in citizen action, in the power of a collective voice to actually transform the nation.
So, for you listening, what really stands out from this deep dive into the KWM's perspective? What does it actually mean when that call to action seems to shift, moving from, the official halls of power into the hands of ordinary people, onto grassroots movements, onto digital platforms?
It's a significant shift they're describing.
It really is. And if you are curious, if you want to explore more about the Kenya Wantam Notam movement and their specific call for change, remember that website, www.wantamnotam.com.
One more time, that's www.wantamnotam.com.
That's the place to go. Create an account, share your ideas for local, city, national change. You can join their vision for, well, what they hope will be a more accountable Kenya.
We certainly hope this deep dive into the sources KWM provided has given you a clearer, maybe more nuanced understanding of their particular perspective on the situation in Kenya and their vision for change.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We look forward to exploring more fascinating topics with you next time.